If you don't think Bitcoin is going to break to the upside, either one, you are not seeing the evidence, or two, I am not seeing the evidence. It's one of the two. I'm wrong or you're wrong. One of them. I'd love to hear in the comment section down below. Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here. And in today's video, we are going to be doing some shorter term technical analysis on Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency markets, guys, because in the last 24 hours, in fact, at the time of recording this, in the last 2 hours, Bitcoin has managed to break and rally above the 50 daily simple moving average, which is the exact level that we said in that clip yesterday Bitcoin needed to break to start moving to the upside. Now, as we also said in the title, there are 3 things that Bitcoin needs to do to start a new uptrend. As of this morning, Bitcoin has triggered the second one. We triggered the first one a couple of days ago, and we are going to be discussing the overwhelming significance of that in today's video. Guys, we're not only going to be talking about Bitcoin, we're also going to be doing some altcoin analysis on ADA, which I know everybody and their mother wants to see, so hopefully you guys will stick around to the end for that. Considering Cardano's jumped 150% in the last 2 months, I think we could have not missed out on doing some analysis on that. But guys, we've got a lot to get into in this video, so without much further ado, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. Guys, we've got a lot to talk about, so let's just go ahead and jump onto the chart. As you can see here on the daily chart, the last couple of days for Bitcoin have been remarkably bullish. Starting on the 6th of July, we broke above the 20 daily EMA, that very important moving average right there that we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. From there, Bitcoin pulled back last night and tested it as support, and before I went to bed, I said to myself, I really hope that Bitcoin bounces off of the 20 daily EMA. If I woke up to Bitcoin breaking to the upside, that'd be really cool. All the analysis says that's going to happen, so let's see if it happens. Woke up this morning, what do you know? Bitcoin's trading above the 50 daily SMA at $9,430 at the time of recording this video, and when you look at the chart, it may be even higher because I think there's a lot of bullishness coming back to Bitcoin. But nevertheless, that's all well and good what's happened, but let's try and predict what's going to happen. Guys, what's really important here to look at is that we have what I call a green, red, green formation. That means that we've had a green candlestick, a red candlestick that did not engulf the green candlestick. Notice on a candlestick like this, we had the green candlestick and the red engulfed the candlestick, went farther and beyond what the green candlestick had done. This candlestick did not do that, so it was not a bearish candlestick. And following that, now Bitcoin has set a green candlestick in motion that has engulfed the red candlestick. That is very bullish. That's called a bullish engulfing candlestick, and those 3 candle bodies create what we call a green, red, green candlestick. This is almost always going to be a bullish pattern on whatever market you're looking at. That's transferable to any market. And keep in mind, guys, whenever something happens on the price action chart, that's invariably going to have side effects on the rest of the market and the rest of the indicators. For example, we saw the bullish cross on the daily chart MACD a couple of days ago, and that is going to have huge implications for this market. If you'll notice, the last time that Bitcoin had a proper bullish cross on the daily chart MACD, disregarding this little fluke right here, the last time we did was 2 months ago, March 21st. Oh yeah, guess where Bitcoin was at March 21st? Just below $6,000. Bitcoin would nearly double that price in the 2 months to follow. There's major historical significance for a daily chart bullish cross, so don't think that's just some other technical indicator that you can write off. That is extremely important, and it does set this rally right here apart from all of the other ones that we've seen in recent memory. Furthermore, as Bitcoin has bounced off of the 20 daily, and since the 50 simple is going to be a slower moving average, that does mean that we're likely to see some kind of cross between these 2 moving averages. If Bitcoin stays above $9,400 in the next couple of days, we will likely see that cross in the next couple of days. This cross would be very, very important. Everybody talks about the 200 and the 100 crossing, or the 50 and the 200 crossing. I am personally a fan of those, but an even bigger fan of the 20 daily EMA and the 50 daily SMA. These 2 moving averages crossing have given me very, very good signals throughout the history of my trading. For example, the last time that we saw a bullish cross between these 2 moving averages in the exact same way that we're about to see in the next couple of days, this is exactly where that cross happened, and look at what followed starting just 2 days later. Previous to that, the golden cross that happened before that was right there. We saw a massive rally to follow there. We did see a fake out here. But then going back even farther to the beginning of 2019, we saw that these 2 moving averages crossing like this resulted in the 2019 bull market. Needless to say, the 20 and the 50 crossing are very important. Remember, if you want to use those, that's the 20 daily EMA and the 50 daily SMA. But what about the weekly chart? Well, guys, as we've talked about at length, Bitcoin has also had a cross between those two moving averages out on the weekly chart. And again, going back to a video we did almost a month ago, when these two moving averages cross, it has always, not most of the time, not normally, it has literally every single time in the history of Bitcoin, every last time that this cross has happened, it has resulted in a bull market. I have it written out here on the BLX chart. The first time was back in July of 2012. That would result in our first bull market. The next time was in October of 15. That would result in the 2016-17 bull market. The third cross was in May of 19. That was coinciding with the major bull market we were seeing back in 19. And now we've just seen the fourth one in the 12-year history of Bitcoin. These happen every 3 years on average, and we've just seen one last week. By the way, something to note here is actually the Bollinger Bands. If you bring up the Bollinger Bands, you can see that our top band is starting to expand. And what that means is that the Bollinger Bands is starting to recognize some more volatility in Bitcoin. Remember, guys, volatility comes along with volume, it comes along with retail investor interest, and it comes along with profitability. The more profitable that people can be, the more money that they are going to stick into the market, the more volume is going to come into the market, the more market capitalization is going to come into the market, and naturally, the higher the market's going to rise. Volatility is one of the very first signs you want to see for an impending bull market. Same can be said for a bear market. When volatility is dropping off, in exactly the same way we saw in 2018, volatility was dropping off and off and off and off and off. That's always going to be a bearish signal. But to contrast that, when volatility is going up and up and up and up and up and up and up, like we saw here in 2017, that's always going to be a bullish thing. So the fact that volatility is returning short-term to Bitcoin is a very good sign. Speaking of good signs, check this out. Look at the weekly chart. What does that look like to you on Bitcoin? See this massive green candlestick? See the 3 candlesticks that we've seen for the last 3 weeks? Remember what I said about 3 weeks ago? I said when I got back from Tennessee that I expect a slow grind to the downside. I think I specifically verbatim said I expect slightly sideways, slightly downwards trading on Bitcoin. I definitely could have worded that better, but that's essentially what I was looking for. And I also said until Bitcoin breaks some key levels of resistance, one of which being the 20-day EMA, the second of which being the 50 daily SMA. As of this morning, we have broken both of those. And that now leaves us with one last thing that we need to break. And if you hadn't already guessed from our previous analysis here on the channel, that would be none other than this level right here of around $9,800. That would be our previous high back on June. Bitcoin, as you can see, is already setting higher lows. If Bitcoin, however, can rally up to $9,800, set even a slightly higher high above that, then that will knock out our trend of setting lower highs. You can see we have 3 lower highs holding us down right now. So if we can get above $9,800, that is when I will be talking bull market. Until then, Bitcoin is just in a short-term technical rally because on the shorter-term time frames, we are setting higher highs and we are setting higher lows. Remember, guys, the longer-term technical analysis will almost always override shorter-term technical analysis, but to get a longer-term trend, you have to start with a short-term trend. A short-term trend has to graduate into a medium-term trend, and a medium-term trend has to graduate to high school and go on to a longer-term trend. Bitcoin is in a short-term uptrend right now. We need that to turn into a medium-term uptrend, and then from there, if we do turn into a medium-term uptrend, if we break this level of resistance, we are going off to the races. And that would be, of course, none other than this downtrend of resistance right here. And truth be told, if Bitcoin does break this downtrend of resistance, it's probably going to be breaking about $9,800 anyway. It really just depends on how you draw it. But the point here is to say this. Bitcoin, as of this morning, is now officially in a short-term uptrend. Since breaking into a medium-term uptrend and breaking into a long-term uptrend is classified by levels of resistance, they're right next to each other. If Bitcoin breaks one of them, it's probably going to domino and break both of them very quickly. Guys, I don't know that a lot of volatility is about to come back to Bitcoin. That's not necessarily what I'm saying, but I do see a lot of bullishness in the technicals and the fundamentals on the longer-term time frames. I do see a lot of pent-up bullish momentum that, if released, could be very good for the market. And if Bitcoin does manage to break up to like $10,300, $10,400, that is where some serious bull market territory is coming from. And I'll be honest with you, even though I'm not totally sure about it from a technical standpoint, I'll tell you what my gut says. You guys ask me about my gut all the time. In 3 weeks, I will have been in the market for exactly 3 years. And my gut is telling me that I think we're about to see some serious price movement in the next 3 to 4 months. That's what I'm telling you that my gut feels. I can almost see it in my head. I think it's coming. I'm not exactly sure when, but I will tell you I do think we're going to see $11,000, $12,000, $13,000 Bitcoin before the end of the year. I'd love to hear what you think about that in the comment section down below. For now, though, I do want to leave you with a trade before we get on to some analysis on ADA because you guys seem to like when I do trade setups. Truth be told, you kind of missed out on the trade setup because it should have been set up about 2 hours ago, but I'll show you how you can salvage that. We talked about how you could trade this movement right here, and if you had have done what I said, it would have worked out very well. Hopefully, the same can be said for this trade in the benefit of hindsight. Personally, I think a decent place to enter this trade is actually a little bit lower than where we are. Probably down here around $9,390. I'm actually going to call it $9,380. Now, of course, you can't enter a trade on a price level that's not actually active, so if Bitcoin does pull back here, this is kind of the trade I'm talking about. You can enter this trade right now, but I'd warn you, you might want to wait for a little bit lower price, just so you have a little bit better risk-to-reward ratio. It's a little more in your favor. The stop loss for this should be very conservative, just below the 50 daily SMA. If Bitcoin falls back below that, what that's going to leave is a massive upper shadow, and that's not going to look good at all. And to be honest with you guys, it'd probably be better to open this trade after this daily candlestick is closed, so this is probably a trade you'd want to go into tomorrow, depending on what the market looks like. So we have an entry around $9,380 to $9,400, somewhere in there. We have a very conservative stop loss. I call it around no lower than $9,300, and then we're going to have a price target sitting up here around $9,750. What I would personally do in this case is I'd probably leave about a third of my position halfway up there so that we can lock in some profits. Because even having the trade go to 95.50 is still going to give you like a 4x risk to reward ratio. So if you leave a third of your position here and you pull out 30% of your trade or so, then you're going to be able to cover any losses that you might have and nullify the risk on the rest of the position that you're going to continue holding. From there, you could hold up to around $9,750 when we hit this level of resistance right here, or you could even place that stop loss a little bit lower, depending on exactly how you personally draw this downtrend of resistance. There's many ways to do it, so I'm not necessarily going to make that the way that I would trade it, but there's nothing wrong with doing that yourself. If you do that, you're left with like a 9x risk to reward ratio. You're left with about a 4% profit trade. And if you're using leverage like on Bybit, by the way, we do have a Bybit referral link down below if you're interested in using that. Although I do warn you, don't use leverage unless you have at least 2 years of experience. That would be my opinion anyway. If you're using leverage, something like 10x leverage could bring you a 40% return. Something like 25x leverage could bring you a 100% return actually. But also keep in mind that also increases the risk if Bitcoin does go to the downside and you lose more of your position. Anyway, that is my position on how I would personally trade this. That is not financial advice. That is simply my friendly advice. Don't go suing me if you make that trade and it goes south. I'll be the first to admit that I've been wrong in the past. I'll be wrong in the future. And anyone who wants to critique me on that, I'm more than happy to learn. I'm more than happy to grow, but don't pretend you're perfect either. Thank you very much. Anyway, moving on. Let's go ahead and take a technical look at ADA, Cardano. You guys... Cardano, as I've heard some people call it. You guys have not shut up about Cardano. In fact, I'll have Taylor throw some screenshots up on screen of all the people talking about Cardano over here in the comment section. I mean, there's a lot of you guys. It's crazy. Guys, I will be honest with you. I have not been the biggest fan of Cardano's chart for a long time. It pulled back 97-something%, and I wasn't keeping up too much with the project. Still not. I'm going to research some more of it because I know you guys want to hear more content about Cardano, but let's do some 2-minute technicals on it. First things first, Cardano rallied all the way to 9,200 Satoshis back at the end of 2017, early 2018. From there, Cardano pulled back almost 96%, but still somehow managed to retain very high valuation here on market cap. Many altcoins pulled back so far off of CoinMarketCap that they fell off the top 100 list. Cardano, on the other hand, is now sitting at number 7, and it's up 17% over the last 24 hours, which is an amazing return on a top 10 cryptocurrency. I mean, you can't even get that with Tether. Come on. And in fact, guys, Cardano is the 3rd biggest gainer on the market right now behind VeChain and Dogecoin. So let's take a technical look at this chart, as obviously we're seeing something spectacular going on this Cardano over Bitcoin. The very first thing I want to point out are the power of the 2 moving averages that we are using on Bitcoin. We talked about this in a Coffee and Crypto live stream over in the first cohort a few days ago, about how Cardano bounced off of the 50 daily simple moving average, and ever since then it's also been bouncing off of the 20 daily simple moving average, EMA. Likewise, remember guys, volume and volatility, 2 major fundamental technicals that you need to be paying attention to. You can see right over there, there is a lot of volume coming back into Cardano, a lot more than we have seen in the last year or so. Cardano had been going down and down and down and down and down and down and down all the way to an absolute low of around 400 sats. But as you can see, Cardano has reached very high on its RSI, up to 87. MACD is extremely bullish and far away from its zero level. Stochh RSI is already into overbought territory and pushing even higher. It's sitting at 100. And unlike a lot of other altcoins and Bitcoin, we actually have a buy signal on the hash ribbons, which is very interesting. Whereas some altcoins like EOS, Litecoin, and Bitcoin Cash just really aren't doing a whole lot of interest, Cardano is exploding. As you can see on candle bodies over the last 100 days, Cardano is up 200%. There are a lot of people yelling altcoin season in the comment section down below. And considering how much Bitcoin dominance has been trending to the downside here in the second quarter of 2020, it's hard to argue with that. So where does Cardano go from here? You already know all the things I just said. Well, guys, I'm very happy that Cardano has rallied so far. I'm very happy that a lot of you guys who have been pumping it for a long time are in profit. But very simply, here's my technical analysis. You see this? Cardano's sitting at 87. As much as you may love a project, as much as you might think it's about to go into a bull market, you have to look at simple facts. When was the last time that Cardano was sitting at 87 on the RSI daily chart on 88 BTC? The last time was when Cardano was hitting all-time high back at the very beginning of 2018. I'm not saying that Cardano is going to go into a massive downtrend and all these gains are going to be for naught and Cardano is going to crash to the floor and boom and bang. I'm not saying any of that. I am, however, saying expect a pullback. We see a massive upper shadow on Cardano right now, and I want to make it very clear that even though Cardano is rallying right now, this is not an altcoin that you want to FOMO into. That would be catastrophic, because right now, Cardano might pull back a massive amount, or it might go straight to the moon. These altcoins are harder to predict than Bitcoin, and they're much better for hodling, in my opinion, for exactly that reason. It is absolutely undeniable that Cardano's technicals look fantastic right now. That is completely true. Everything here says that if the fundamentals line up perfectly, which I think they do, that Cardano is probably going to go into a big bull market, and it might be one of the things that leads Bitcoin into a bull market. We've talked about in the past about how sometimes altcoin cycles can start Bitcoin bull market. So I'm excited about Cardano. I think this is a good project to get into, but I would not, this is not financial advice, but I would not get into a position at 1,350 sats. This RSI, even the last 3 rallies, as you can see, is higher than that. We are going to have a correction on Cardano in the next 3 days. I guarantee it. When that happens, that may be a time that you'd want to buy in if you were looking to get into ADA. I might do the same, just putting my opinion out there. But I would not buy Cardano anywhere above 1,100 sats right now unless we reset that RSI in a big way, at least down to like 65. I mean, as we've seen right here, during bull markets, Cardano, altcoins, Bitcoin, whatever, cryptocurrencies, they can pull back just below 70 and then continue their rally. We see that happen all the time, but we will see RSI pull back below 70. We will see Cardano pull back a few hundred sats, or we'll see Cardano trade sideways for 2 weeks. That can reset the RSI too. One of the two, we're going to see Cardano consolidate, lock in some gains, and then you will have more than likely a better position to enter right now. If you were to enter Cardano right now, you see that chart right there? That is nothing more than FOMO fuel. Be very careful of getting into a market that looks like that. I'm not saying it's not a bad trade for the long term, but you're going to get burned if you're trying to trade it. So you guys asked me for some altcoin analysis. There you go. That is my take on Cardano. I think it's a fantastic project. I think it makes a lot of sense that it's in the top 10, and I think there's a lot of community support behind it. People are always talking about Cardano in the comment section down below. If you're in a position, congrats. You're probably making a lot of money right now, but make sure you're just being careful. Be very, very wise in markets like these guys. Where it's easy to make a lot of money, it is also easy to lose a lot of money, so I don't want you getting burned, but that is just my opinion, not fact. Anyway, guys, that is going to wrap it out for this extra long episode. If you did enjoy, let's see if we can get to 1,200 likes. I want to see if we can do that. We almost got there yesterday. We got to like 1,120. So let's see if we can do that. Hit that like button down below. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. We make daily cryptocurrency content, and I wouldn't want you to miss any of it. Like I said, we are going to start doing semi-regular, maybe daily altcoin technical analysis, if that is something you guys are interested in. But for now, though, guys, that is going to wrap it out for today's video. Before I go, though, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.